Hi guys, and welcome to part 3 on this Mustang respray. So in part 1 we went through all the primer stage, and in part 2 we added in a section that one of the viewers asked to see, which is basically all the blocking stage, and then we added a short section of time lapse at the end of the blocking stage, of the masking stage, once the beaver had been prepped. So for this job we're using a solvent base coat, and it's a 1-to-1 mix. And spray gun wise, we're going to be using Devilbiss FLG in a 1.4 setup. Now, roughly on the 1.4 setup, I've got it running about 20 to 25 psi. Fluid wise, as much or as little as you want for how you like to spray. This first coat, basically all we're going to do with this is just give it a real light dust over. If you've seen the other sections on this car, then you'll know that it had a lot of work previously, and we've had to do a lot of work to try and straighten this out, and we give it a full prime and a full block. Now, because this car's had a lot of work in the past, one thing I don't want to do is go and putting this really wet and really heavy, just in case anything starts frying up or anything starts blistering anywhere and we start getting any issues with paint reaction. And that's the reason why I always put down a wet but light coat like this, because it just helps to see if you're going to get any silicone problems, then in this really thin wet coat it's going to show up. If anything's going to start looking like it might start frying up, or you might start getting any issues, then it will also start showing up, I find, in this first coat. So it always gives you a good gauge of how it's going to go down. And because of all that old paint, I'm not going to put any of the coats down really thick and really wet, because I don't want the solvents to sit on the primer and risk at any point of any frying up. It may just be where we've had a little bit of a burn through and we've covered up those burn throughs with a bit of 1K high build. You know, I don't want really thick fresh paint sat on top of those that's wet that could cause any issues. So all we're going to do is we're going to put first coat down as a light wet dust coat, and then we are going to start putting down wet coats, but careful wet coats, just so we can paint it in a way that's going to be safer and risk the chance of any reworking or any problems. And with this being a clear over base job, the other thing that you want to bear in mind is we need to get this so that this white base coat is really nice and clean all the way across the car. The tiniest little speck of dust on this, you know, if you're doing a black respray, you're not going to notice it. It's going to show up as a tiny little bit of dust in your lacquer. If you get a tiny little bit of dust on this, the issue that you're going to have is when you put the lacquer down, that's going to be a black mark in your lacquer. This one, I have to say, came out really nice. I think there's only 1 or 2 tiny little bits of dust in it that actually had any off colour to them. The guy's not looking for a concourse respray, he's just after, you know, something that fits his budget, so this was absolutely fine for a job like this. And like I say, with it being a base coat and lacquer, you know, for the kind of job that we're doing on this car, and for the kind of budget the guy actually had with the car, I think, you know, he's got a really good job at the end of it. I did say in a previous video, you know, a car like this, it'd be really nice with it being an older car to be able to bare metal it, but it's just not always doable. You know, as much as you might think as a painter, right, well, you know, we need to get all this old paint off and it'd be brilliant to bare metal it, just sometimes just customers just don't have that budget. So this guy's got a really nice respray, a really clean looking car. The car's now nice and straight. It's got a base coat and lacquer paintwork on it, so it's going to last. So, you know, the guy's happy, we're happy, and as a painter, I was happy with the finished result. Now, in this video, we are only going to cover the base coat section of this, just because if I put the base coat and the clear coat together, then you're going to be looking at about 40 minutes, even if I tried to edit it down to shorten it up a little bit. So I have left it this video a bit longer than usual, just because a few of you guys out there said that you wanted to see a bit more, and you didn't mind if the videos were a bit longer. You know, if you want to see them a touch longer, then let me know. Or if you want to keep them to about the 10 to sort of between the 10 and 15 minute mark, then let me know. Because I want to keep it at a length that you guys stay interested in. You can see what we're doing. I mean, you might not even be listening to me now. You might have muted me and put some tunes on. If that's your thing, then that's fine. I've not got a problem with that. So, back to the job at hand then. This is the second, or really the first proper coat that we're putting down now. So we're putting this down now a little slower and a little wetter, and a little heavier now, because obviously now we're going for coverage. I'm still moving quite fast, because all I've done is just turn the fluid out a bit more, so I can move a little bit. I can stay moving as fast, but we are putting a lot more fluid on. Now, this white base coat, I think in total this took about 6 coats in total to cover up. It wasn't much of a fun colour to paint, and I can't say that I really enjoy doing base coat and lacquer resprays in white anyway, to be fair. They're a bit of a pain to see what you're doing when it comes to the lacquer stage. And base coat wise, I think they're a bit like the reds. They do take quite a bit of colouring up. And we would have, you know, we could have put a white sealer down over the whole car first. But then budget wise, you're coming into a lot more money then, because you're going to have to put a full white sealer over the whole car. And we're doing inside the doors, we're doing the other side of the bonnet and the other side of the boot, so it all looks nice and clean and fresh when it's rebuilt. So, it's cheaper to do it this way. It might take you a little bit longer in the painting side of things, but it'd be cheaper to do it this way for the customer than it would to pay out for a lot of expensive white sealer, seal it all up first, and then start basing over the top. Now, door shut wise, what I do on a job like this, because he's not having all the doors taken off and then rehung, because again it's a cost thing, what I've done is I've opened up the doors before I started, painted all the door shuts up so they're fully coloured, and then I'll repaint the whole exterior of the shell. And then all I'll do is, once I've finished the exterior respray, I'll open the doors up, give those a tack rag out in the inside the doors, and just give them one extra coat. And then I'll go and mix my lacquer, and then I'll basically do the same sort of thing again. I'll put one coat on the inside of the doors, do the whole outside of the car, and then just give it one quick flick around the inside of the doors again, while the outside's still nice and wet, so that everything melts together nice, and you're not going to be left with any dry edges inside your doors, or any dry edges on the outside of the doors. So I've not included all the coats for the exterior, just because you guys, I'm sure, probably wouldn't want to see me putting that much base coat down on a car. So I think we've just kept it, I think it's about 3, maybe 4 coats, I think, just so you guys can get an idea of how I put it on, how it went down, and just the general process that we went through on the car. So you can see when I'm going around, when I'm starting off, I'm trying to catch the hardest edges on a panel first. I always find that's better if you've got your undersides of the arches, your undersides of your sills, and stuff like that. If you go for trying to get those edges first on a job, then what you tend to get in the routine is that you will paint your hardest parts first. And what that means, as a painter's point of view, is when you come to do your coats, you're not going to accidentally miss out any undersides of edges or tops of doors or undersides of doors or anything like that. And it's just how I've learned how to do it over the years. I've not had the beauty of being taught like some of you guys. Everything that I've learned is all self-taught, and it does take a while, whichever way, if you're an apprentice in a shop, or whether you've been to college, or whether you're self-taught in what you do, whichever way you learn, you know, we all, you know, spend a lot of time learning to be good at what we do and to try and be the best that we can be. You know, I think that I don't try and look at my paintwork as I want to be better than that guy or I want to be better than this guy. In my paintwork, I want to be the best that I can be, and I want to push my quality levels and my standards as high as I can with what I've got to work with and the cars that I'm working with as well. So that's kind of like my attitude towards it. And I think, you know, even if it's might not be your shop, that doesn't mean that as a painter you should be thinking, right, well, it's not my shop, it's not my responsibility, what do I care if the car's nice or not? At the end of the day, I'm getting paid at the end of the day. To me, it does matter. I think, you know, the better you're putting your work out, the better you feel as well. You know, taking pride in the work that you're putting out makes the job a lot better, it makes it a lot more enjoyable, and you might put more effort in than, you know, your average guy, but, you know, if that's the way you work and that's your kind of work ethic towards things, then do it how you want to do it and make the best of each job that you can for you. And at the end of the day, I know, you know, not every painter may look at the job like that. Some people may see this job as a way to pay the bills. For me, I've always loved being a painter. I've not always been amazing at being a painter. It's taken a lot of learning. You know, you make a lot of mistakes. You learn from your mistakes, and I think in the end you're actually better from your mistakes, because when you do get a problem going, say, halfway through a respray like this, you know how to fix that mistake. So I think sometimes it's good to have those flaws as well as the good points. You know, I'm no perfect painter. I still get runs, I still have issues. You know, you still get the odd bit where you might get a bit of a fry up and you have to nib it out and try and dust it back in, or you have to, you know, you get a little bit of a redo. Like in the Impreza respray, you know, the car looked really nice when it went out, but to make sure it looked brilliant, we did have to give it a flow coat because we had that little issue with it. You know, no matter how long you've been painting, no matter how perfect your setup is or isn't, you know, the laws of nature say that sometimes things are going to go wrong, and learning how to fix the problems are almost as important as learning how to do the easiest tasks, like putting paint in your spray gun. I think they're what, you know, learning how to fix the issues are as important as any part of the job. I think they make you a better painter. You know, if you just painting panels and every single panel is perfect, you know, when you do get a problem, you're going to be stuffed. But that's just my view on it anyway. So this is now what was the final coat on this car. I think this was about coat number 6, I think, from memory. It was a couple of weeks ago now when I did this. But I have to say it did look really nice and clean. And in part 4 we'll go through the lacquer stage, using the Iwata W400. And same as always, at the end of this video and at the end of the other video, I include all the shots of the car so you can get a feel for what it was like at the end of each stage. You know, because I know a few guys have said they really like that, because at each end of each section you get to see where we've stopped, what it looks like, and get a good idea for, you know, how things have come out when we're at this point. And I have to say it was a nice car to do this. It's not something that you get very often. The shop that I paint for gets a lot of these American motors in, and it's quite nice. It makes a nice change from, you know, your everyday run-of-the-mill cars to be able to take something like this and make it look fresh again. Also, it didn't look too bad when it came in, but it had a lot of bad paintwork over the years, a bit of Selly and a bit of 2-pack, and another bit was in base coat and lacquer. So, and it was all wobbly where it had repairs everywhere. So it was nice to give it a nice, fresh, clean, flat look to the car. and know that it's a paint job that is going to last, and that the customer's going to be happy with. So this is where we're going to pretty much leave this video for this one. I'll get part 4 edited up this weekend for you guys and get that up. I've been a bit behind with editing this week because I've been absolutely crackers busy at the shop, painting like mad all week. So I'll get that one up, sorted out over the weekend, and get that uploaded as well. So thanks for watching, guys. And if you're new to the channel, please feel free, give us a like, give us a subscribe. If you think anyone else would benefit from any of our videos, then feel free to share the videos. They are here for everyone. And as always, if you've got any comments, if you've got any questions, if there's anything you want to ask, I know I get tons of questions about the FLG, because it is a cracking spray gun for the money. If you've got any questions about any of the stages, just drop a message in the comments below, and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. So thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you've enjoyed this part 3, and I shall see you soon for part 4.